Hello, and welcome to your Yin Yang practice. Before we begin, the props that we will most likely need today, one being a cushion or blanket or something that you can easily move around and put underneath your knees or bottom at any point where you feel you need a little more cushion. I also have a couple of cork blocks. Again, blocks and props in general are to be considered as extensions of your body. So at any point, if you feel you would like to bring the ground up towards you or extend a limb to make it a little bit longer or to simply feel a little bit more support, utilize blocks or props to make this practice meet you where you're at. We're going to begin our practice today in a seated posture. If you're comfortable seated cross-legged without any props, you're welcome to sit as you are. It might feel good to bring in a cushion or a block to lift your hips so that if your hips are higher than your knees, you'll find you're able to sustain this posture with a little more ease. So join me in your seated posture and take a few moments in your seat to tip forward and back, side to side, and feel for that central plumb line, that position where your spine is aligned, a sense of structure and ease. And from here, tune into your breath. And the simple practice of aligning and lengthening our spine is an opportunity to create more space for the vitality of our breath. So if we were to frame this in the practice of Ashtaya, align your spine so as to not steal from your capacity to breathe. Generally speaking, we find 30% more capacity to move our diaphragm and to spaciously breathe when we have an aligned posture. Just notice how that feels in your body. Now, as a Yin Yang practice, we are going to begin with the first half of our time together in a more predominantly Yin experience. Yin being the moon energy. So we will engage in Yin with longer holds. However, there's still Yang within Yin. So the sun energy of Yang will be experienced in Yin as the occasional intensity in our poses, as well as the discipline to sustain the hold for several minutes. In the latter half of our practice, we will switch to a predominantly Yang experience. We will do that with more of a flow type movement and moving a little bit quicker in general. However, there's still Yin energy as we honor conscious stillness and rest in between occasional movements, and ultimately feeling that Yin, that restoration in every breath. So allow a few more moments to feel settled, to land in your seated posture. breathing in slow motion as your inhale expands your belly, back, ribs, the front, sides, and back of your heart. And every slow, spacious exhale, grounding down a little bit more. Before we transition, I have a little something to read. This comes from a book called Stalking the Wild Soas by Liz Koch. As I read these words, I invite you to continue feeling your breath as it moves up and down your spine. What if our central axis is understood as a primal tube, similar to a caterpillar, and our spine as having the movement of a fish? When our spine is perceived through an embryological and bimorphic paradigm, it is the nexus of our being, the source from which all our aspects of self flow. A life-shaping central channel of fluid embodiment. Whether referred to as a channel, midline, primitive streak, notochord, or central nervous system, the spine has oceanic and cosmic origins. Sensed as undulations and spirals that echo through tissue. All life is touched by the planetary rhythms of vibrating water. By thinking of our primal tube as an inner caterpillar, what appears as symptoms of aging can be understood as a process of drying out. Loss of eyesight, full lips, good digestion, urinary control, sexual energy, and disrupted intestinal functions are all symptoms that correlate with our primal tube rings, known as the sphincter muscles. In the book, The Secret of the Ring Muscles, author Paula Garborg reveals that health is correlated with the coordinated rhythms of our sphincters, espousing that enlivening our tubular rings resolves an array of health issues. Garborg shares simple ways of activating the O-rings, sounding and shaping orifices, specifically the mouth, can indeed reshape our internal world. Playing with O-rings as well as the tissue of the throat rejuvenates spontaneous regenerative processes and is known to cause bouts of enthusiasm and creativity. So for 3 breaths on our exhale, let's make a shape with our mouth and vowel sound to the completion of the exhale. You could unite your sounds with mine or make any sounds that your body wants to make in this moment. Begin with a slow, spacious inhale and then begin. Ooh. 2 more. As you feel ready, moving from the inside out, feeling the tubular rings of your spine. Make the transition into child's pose. As you transition, if it feels okay in your shoulders today, I'll invite you to cross your arms underneath your chest, making note of which arm is above, which is below, reaching your hands in opposite directions, and bowing your head onto a pillow or onto the ground or a block, bringing the ground to you. And settling there. Feeling into the intensity or spaciousness. And as you hold in this position, I invite you to bring in the practice of box breathing. That slow, spacious inhale, a gentle pause at the top with full lungs, and then fully let go as you exhale, settling into a pause with empty lungs. Notice how this new rhythm changes your experience. In Sanskrit, breath retention is referred to as kumbhaka. It is said that through breath retention, you can experience pure prana and the relief from an undisciplined mind, which is often engaged in constant seeking, grasping, avoiding, and other pain-causing activity. When we stop the breath consciously and settle into the comfort of stillness, we stop thought and are gifted with alternative pathways of delight. Breath retention is a key component of nervous system regulation, as stopping the breath with mindful care and curiosity calms the mind and body and opens the gateway to reinterpret data versus remaining on the reactive loops of habit. For one more minute, continue box breath. As you stay open and notice sensation. notice the transition as you release the conscious breath retention and shift back into a breath that feels rhythmic and smooth. And then use the inspiration of your inhale to lift your head. And as you exhale, switch your hands so that the opposite arm is now in front. And make your way back down into your arms weaved child's pose once again. Taking a few moments to set yourself up with the support needed so that you can be with the intensity without being overwhelmed by it. And then once again, shift into a style of box breath. It's inviting in those gentle, conscious pauses. Perhaps counting the duration of the inhale and pause, the exhale and pause. And you give yourself this disciplined directive, something to focus on, whether it's counting or following a visual. You're giving the left hemisphere something to focus on, which is generally the linear, logical mode of processing. And in doing so, it gives the right hemisphere more space to experience sensation. The illumination of your creative essence. The aspects of you that are non-linguistic. And just as we are practicing this balance of yin and yang, yang and yin, we also want that balanced integration of the left and right brain hemispheres. Too much of either one brings us out of balance. Let's allow another 30 seconds, breathing in that 4 parts of the box breath. Practicing this dropping into sensation. Being with each breath. And then once again, drop the structure of the 4 parts of the breath and feel the transition into this smooth rhythm. And then allow the inspiration of your inhale to support you as you guide your body back up, making your way into a tabletop position just for a few breaths. Once in tabletop, you can rock your hips side to side, or you might feel called to tip forward and back. getting into your wrists or pushing down through fingertips, or moving your spine like a fish. Conscious stillness might feel more nourishing. Just allow a few moments, following the internal guidance, the intelligence in your fascia. When you feel ready, we'll transition into puppy pose. Keeping your hips above your knees, you're going to walk your hands forward and begin dropping your elbows, armpits, chin, and heart. If this feels too intense, of course, you could bring in a pillow or a block underneath your sternum or underneath your chin. Meet your breath. You could focus your gaze at one point in front of you or close your eyes. It might feel good to shift into box breath here. Notice how box breath can be slightly different when you lengthen the pauses or shorten them. You could also play with lengthening the inhale a little bit more if you feel you need a little bit more energy, more wakefulness, or lengthen the exhale a little more if you feel you need the support to be grounded, to calm, to connect to this moment. So much possibility simply by consciously breathing. Notice where or when you have a tendency to vacate your body. Practice tapas, discipline, by being willing to just come back and notice what happened right before I went somewhere else. Within your next 6 breaths, you can mindfully make the transition from puppy pose back into child's pose. Take your time. Noticing how these changing forces of tension and compression in your spine changes your breath when you come back into a position where your spine is neutral. Feeling your breath moving through the sphincters, the O-rings of your spine. Now once again, After you've taken a few moments in your child's pose, we'll meet back in our tabletop position with the invitation to move side to side, forward and back, up and down. Just noticing what feels different now, what wants to happen next. Feel your breath move through your body, supporting this fish-like movement of your spine. From here, we're going to shift into frog pose. You could roll up either side of your mat for a little bit of cushion under each knee. Or if you have a couple pillows, that would serve as cushion for under the knees as well. But bringing your knees out wide, heels point straight back, and toes out towards the sides. Keeping your hips in alignment with your knees so you're not pulling your bum towards your heels and we're not tipping forward. Right? So feel that alignment and melt down from there. Allowing a few moments to adjust so that you are finding the distance between knees that is challenging but sustainable. So not to the point where you could not possibly go any further. Definitely edge back from that point so that there's a bit of space for buoyancy with your breath, with the movement and the transition down to the floor, perhaps bringing a pillow underneath your elbows or forehead. And settling here for a few breaths. Again, it might be helpful to play with box breath. So you notice that discipline is a practice that leads to liberation. It's not to hold you captive. It's to set you free. So with that, discipline is not to be rigid or controlling. It's about having clear structure and direction, yet space for buoyancy and breath. So that within this container you've created, you can be with what arises and reappraise it, reframe it. Give it space to transform into its next evolution or its release. And as we get to know what this feels like, what this means in the body, in our physical practice, or in our mind with our meditation, we see how they are intricately connected. And we become the conscious creators of our reality. Curating change and transformation in every relationship we keep. box breath is a tangible and accessible practice we can utilize anytime we feel we've lost connection. We bring that simple structure back in to create a container so that an optimal rhythm can reemerge. Couple more breaths. When you're ready, use the support of your upper body to lift your torso and then bring your knees back in to touch. And we'll take a moment with knees together, folding your torso over your thighs, head towards the ground or on a pillow or block. Hands stretched past your toes and let your arms rest towards the ground. This frog pose is truly a vulnerable and open and expansive position. We can balance it by coming into that small posture, child's pose with knees together. Showing our body that it's okay to expand, to stretch, to feel our edge. Because we always come back home to ourselves. And how sweet this homecoming feels after we've wandered and expanded and stretched. We will now transition into a pigeon position or a pigeon variation. So you lift your body away from the floor, tip forward to stretch your right leg behind you, and then bring your left knee to the outside of your left hand or to the edge of the left side of your mat. And then walk your right leg back, back, back to get your hips towards the floor. Now, if this is feeling too much for you today, I invite you to try dropping fully onto the left hip. So the left side of your upper leg touches the floor. And then your right knee can come off to the side a little bit. So you're still going to get into a similar position, yet it might feel a little more sustainable. And for those of you who are feeling comfortable here, you can keep your hips level to the floor. Slowly taking your time to bring your upper body down towards the ground, perhaps with a block or a pillow underneath your head. And breathing here. Just noticing the new sensations in this new position, this new moment. Noticing the sounds. Including everything in this moment. And use your breath to Feel your expansion as you inhale. To feel your innate ability to let go and be held as you exhale. Staying here for several breaths. Being mindful that when you feel intensity, you don't need to power through it. We can play with edging back a little bit so the intensity is not overwhelming. Or if you feel like there's not much going on, not much sensation, being really gentle and mindful about allowing yourself to go a little deeper. Recognizing how much can change with the most subtle deepening or edging back. Recognizing your ability to stay with what feels unpleasant or uncomfortable. Yet also graciously acknowledging that you can support yourself. You can send your breath to where you feel you need more support. Perhaps even feeling the wave-like movement of your breath through your spine and allowing that to ripple into really gentle, subtle movement, like an internal massage. Two more breaths. On your next inhale, lift your body up. You can drop onto your left hip if you're not there already, to then swing your left leg behind you and make your way back into tabletop, finding a few movements here, a few breaths before transitioning to the other side. After these long holds, it's just as important to create space in between. Just feel what wants to move. Allowing these moments of even more spacious yin to support your practice. And when you feel ready, we reach our right knee forward to the outside of your right pinky finger. Your foot is tucked under your body, perhaps at a 90-degree angle at your knee, but not necessary. Left leg walks back, bringing your pelvis close towards the ground. You can stay here or explore what it would feel like to drop onto your right hip, outside of your right leg and bend a little bit more into your left knee. So whether you're here or hips parallel to the ground, use your exhale to support a grounding, bringing your upper body down, either hanging in space if that feels good, or using a pillow or block for support. Perhaps using box breath to feel the structure, finding your window of tolerance in terms of where you can sustain holding your body. Perhaps using really gentle movement to find the edges of your window. What's too much? What's not enough? Balancing right in between. Be with your breath and sensation. Noticing what arises, and holding it in your loving attention. Wrapping it in the warm blanket of your breath. And see what happens. Breathe in slow motion. A few more. Count 4 more slow, conscious breaths. And as you feel ready, inhale to lift. Lowering onto your right side if you're not there already. And then turn your body to make your way down into Supta Baddha Konasana. So once flat on your back, you can bring your bottoms of feet to touch and knees wide. Just allowing a few breaths here. And one of the really interesting things about our nervous system and our body is that when we receive a surge of danger signals, that mobilizing sympathetic energy that moves up and down the spine tends to get diverted to key areas of our body that are preparing to fight or run or yell or bite. And if we do not dissipate that energy once it's been surged there, it stores in our tissues and can manifest as tension, things feeling locked, frozen. And when we move our attention there, we can support the dissipation, the thawing and release of that energy by allowing movement. And we can do that with consciously choosing to shake or bounce. And we also have an opportunity to hold space for tremors, for the body bouncing or shaking on its own as this wise adaptive mechanism to release energy. So from our Supta Baddha Konasana position, let's take a moment to push down through the outsides of your feet and lift your hips. Now we are using a lot of muscle engagement. You're going to feel some fire building, quite intense. Keep pushing down through the outsides of your feet. Feel your breath. It might become a little more audible, a little bit bigger as you are working a little harder. Okay, just holding for another few breaths. You might notice your body starts to bounce or shake a little bit from the fatigue, from the effort. One more breath, push down, keep lifting. And as you exhale, slowly lower your spine and your hips. Knees stay wide. Breath here. And now slowly, on your next inhale, lift your knees about 1 inch. So they're no longer just hanging in space. It's taking a little bit of effort to now hold them in this position. And notice if you can find that point of structure, of holding, yet relaxing right here, so that any bounces, any twitches, any movement can just ripple through. You can stay in that position if you're finding some curious things going on. You could also lift another inch and then pause. Feel your breath. Just holding space for the intelligence of your body. To just let things ripple, tremor, bounce. You could lift another inch. You might find a pocket where there's a lot of bounce. And there are days when I do this and no movement happens. So whatever your experience is valid and perfect. I did tweak my low back a little bit yesterday, so I'm not surprised that there's lots of movement happening in my legs today. You can continue lifting 1 inch at a time, honoring the pause to just feel what wants to happen there. Use your breath. Just for another 30 seconds. You could continue lifting 1 inch at a time, or you could even drop your knees down a little lower if there was a point that you felt needed more time and attention. And when you're ready, you can bring your feet back flat onto the ground. Potentially walk them in closer towards your body, whatever helps you feel grounded. And pause here for a few breaths. As we now bridge the practice of our yin into our yang. And just as your breath is a bridge of the internal to the external, Anjali Mudra is also known as a bridge of internal to external. So bring your hands to touch at heart center as you feel the connection of the left and right palm, the gentle sensation of your wrists or thumb touching your heart center, and the rhythm of your breath. And on your next exhale, release your hands down by your sides. And as you inhale, lift your hips up into bridge. We're going to move with our breath. As you exhale, lower back down as you bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. We build the bridge as we cross it. Inhale, push down through your feet. Hands come down for support. Lift your hips, tuck your chin. Exhale, lower down. Hands to Anjali Mudra. Continue like that. Inhale to lift. Create your bridge. Exhale to lower. Feel your bridge. 3 more. One more. At the bottom of your exhale, walk your feet wider, mat distance or a little bit more. Lift your arms up into the air and then drop your shoulders down towards the ground. Keep your elbows right above your shoulders and then bend at your elbows to touch palms to opposite elbow. Inhale at neutral. As you exhale, tip your knees and ear to the right as your arms go towards the left. Inhale, come back to neutral. As you exhale, transition to the other side. So your head and legs move in one direction as your arms move in the opposite direction. Follow the rhythm of your breath. Feel the twisting in your spinal channel. No need to go to your furthest edge. And being mindful if there's any point where you just drop or like flop, and bring a little more attention there. Can you be smooth and continuous through the entire rhythm of your breath, supported and felt in your movement? One more round. Finishing with your left ear towards the ground. And then back into that neutral position. Release your hands down by your sides and take a moment to pause. Connect with your breath. Notice the ripples moving through your flesh. And when you're feeling ready, you can lift your knees and hug them in towards your chest. It might feel good to rock side to side, keeping your feet next to each other, not crossed. All right, before we transition into seated, we're going to do a little bit to wake up our core. I'm going to give you some options here. Dropping your feet down to the ground. Option 1 is to just lift one foot at a time, where you're inhaling and knees stay parallel. Lift one leg. Exhale, lower. You can even just start here and move through this as a progression. Inhale, opposite leg. Exhale, lower. As you're doing this, we want to feel our core stay engaged. It's not bulging, and it's connected. We're hugging in. Now, if that's feeling okay, you could try lifting both legs, dropping down, relaxing as you exhale, practicing that mindful engagement of hugging in, expanding, like you can separate or expand across between the ASIS, the bony parts of your hips. Okay, if that's feeling okay, you can prop yourself up onto forearms. Plant your palms, and we'll inhale to reach, exhale to hug in. So wherever you are, 10 more breaths. Feeling the fire build. Using your whole body to support this movement. It's not just core. Everything working together. Noticing where any tension might be arising. Can you spread that tension so it's supported versus isolated? I think we have 5 more. Final 2. We'll come back into a seated posture and pause. Just notice how your breath is moving. After we've brought in this more of this mobilizing energy, you might find your breath is naturally moving a little more into your chest. As you feel yourself calming and regulating, you'll notice the volume of your breath gets smaller and softer. So from our seated position, I'm going to play with some cat-cow movements. I invite you to move from the place of what is called a kidney loop. Now what we're doing in the kidney loop is that we want to take our ribs at the front and tuck them back. So you are curving your spine, but we're doing it right from the central point of the torso. And when we do that, it's like we're creating slack in this intrinsic deep muscle, the psoas, which is one of the muscles that gets activated with our fight or flight mechanism of the nervous system. And so this conscious movement of tucking our ribs in, allowing our shoulders to curl forward from this internal place of creating slack, is a really nice way to give that extra support and safety signals into the psoas. So as you play with that, we want to also open up our shoulders. So as you exhale and curl your ribs in, on your next inhale, move from your shoulders, open up. There you go. So as you exhale, you keep curling your ribs in, sustaining some of that. As you inhale, lengthen across your chest and open. So we don't need to do an extreme movement of jarring our ribs forward as we inhale. We want to keep this movement quite subtle as we open more into the shoulders. Now this is a great movement to support correcting our posture. So we're going to play with this in a few more movements in our practice today. Just a couple more times, that curling in of the ribs. Inhale first, shoulders open, lengthen, chest. Ribs follow. And then exhale, curl. Inhale, shoulders, lengthen. All right, and then settle in what feels like a neutral position. We're going to come into a position of 90-90, referring to the angle at the back sides of our knees. So with your left knee in the forward position, my heart towards the left knee, 90-degree angle in the back side of my left knee, toes pointing forward. Right knee reaching straight out from my right hip, and then walking your right foot away from your body to get that 90-degree angle in the back side of your knee. You can walk your knee a little bit further away if that feels okay, so you feel that spaciousness in your right hip flexor. Hands frame your left thigh. We're going to inhale here. Exhale, fold forward towards your left knee as you keep flexion in your left foot. Inhale to come up, and we're going to switch sides. Rotate. Keep your feet in a similar position as you drop. Exhale, fold over your right knee. Slow movement, slow breathing. Inhale to lift. You can keep your hands down or up as you rotate. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift. Rotate. Exhale, lower. Now, if this is feeling like it's too much for you, please slow it down some more, where you could inhale and exhale. As you rotate, you could have your hands behind you to support as you rotate, taking a breath in and lowering. So find a rhythm of breath that supports you, where you're not speeding up your movement to match your breath. You're not plowing through what feels uncomfortable to try to keep pace. Find the rhythm that serves you. Just a couple more. All right, once you get to the left side, you're going to pause there. Slowly bring your body up. Bring both feet towards the top of your mat, the direction you're facing. And then hug your left knee in towards your chest. Could be fingers wrapped or left elbow wraps around left shin. And then step your left foot to the outside of your right thigh. And we're going to engage in a twist. We're going to do it with the kidney loop again. So we're going to inhale to lengthen our spine. Exhale, tuck your low ribs in. Feel that curve in your back. And then right arm is going to wrap around left leg as you inhale. Left hand comes behind. Keep the kidney loop. Exhale, twist. Pause here for a breath. And then inhale, come back to center. Exhale, release. Right leg, inhale, hug it in. Exhale. All right, when you're ready, stepping your right foot to the outside of your left thigh. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Tuck your low ribs. Left arm wraps around right leg. Inhale. Right hand behind. Exhale, keeping that kidney loop as you twist. One more breath here. Next inhale, we come back to center. Exhale, release. We're going to make our way into down dog. So you could cross your legs or tip to one side or the other. Bring your palms flat onto the ground and take your time. This might be your first down dog of the day, as it is for me. So let's walk it out. Reconnecting with the fish-like movement of your spine and the many sphincters or O-rings that create these undulations and these sensational pathways through your spine. I'm going to take this shawl off, so stay in your down dog. Now, if this is feeling yang enough for you today, you have full permission to just be in your down dog, dropping down, coming back up, exploring this position in any way that serves you. If you'd like to follow my guidance, we're going to play with leg lifts, knee tucks, and our kidney loop in our down dog. So notice in your down dog if you are dumping your heart forward, feeling tension in your shoulder blades. And whether you are or not, notice what it feels like to expand across your upper back, as if you are bringing your heart to your upper back a little bit more, like filling the space. From there, tuck your low ribs in. So we are consciously curling our spine a little bit in our down dog. Okay. Now on your next inhale, lift your right leg up into the air. And as you exhale, curl your low ribs even more as you tuck your knee in, chin towards chest, nose towards knee. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale, kidney loop, tuck in, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen, lift your right leg, push into the floor with your hands. Exhale, curl, kidney loop, tuck in. 3 more. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, kidney loop, tuck, squeeze in. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, tuck. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. This time, hold your knee towards your nose. Keep that kidney loop, tuck. And then look in between your hands and step your foot forward. Now, it might feel good to bring a cushion underneath your back knee as we drop our back knee down. You could keep your hands on the floor. You could bring your hands up onto your front knee or onto your hips. We're going to take a few moments in any one of these positions to feel that really subtle cat-cow type motion led by the movement of your low ribs. So as we inhale, we tuck. Exhale, let it go. Shoulders open, expand through your chest. Working on our posture. 3 more breaths. Tucking. Lengthen, shoulders back. Open your chest. 2 more. All right, when you feel ready, hands back to the ground if they're not there already, and step back into your down dog. And once again, walk out your dog, spread your fingers, push into the floor. If it felt good to move on the other side in the leg lifts and tucks, join me on this side. When you're ready, inhale, left leg lifts up, push into the floor with your hands, lengthen, reach. As you exhale, tuck your low ribs, curve your spine, chin towards chest, knee towards nose. Inhale, lengthen. Feel your length and strength. Exhale, tuck your ribs in, curl. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tuck. And you feel your weight equally distributed on both hands through the entire movement. Inhale. Exhale, tuck. 2 more. Lengthen and reach. Exhale, tuck your low ribs, curl. Last one. This time, tuck and curl and hold. Low ribs pulling up. Eyes towards your hands and step forward. Cushion underneath your back knee. And once again, you could play hands down or on your knee or on your hips or anywhere you'd like as we move through this cat-cow motion of inhale, tuck your low ribs. Exhale, shoulders back, lengthen through your chest and heart, and then ribs follow. From whatever position, orientation feels good today. Three more. Bottom of your exhale. Hands come down if they're not there already. Lift your back knee, step back, down dog. Couple breaths here. And when you're ready, we're going to make our way to standing, and you could take your time to go there now, or you could move through vinyasa with me. When you're ready, inhale, tip forward. Shoulders over wrists, keep tipping, fold forward, shoulders over fingertips. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. Look up in between your hands, step or float your feet forward. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Push down through both feet. Lift up, reach up. Exhale, hands down to Anjali Mudra. Now on your next inhale, reach your arms up once again. Exhale into your chair pose. You could have your feet together or hip distance. I prefer hip distance for this position. We're going to move into a revolved Utkatasana, so a twisted chair pose, and doing that with our kidney loop. So as we inhale, we'll lengthen our spine, and this time exhale, tuck your low ribs, curl. Inhale here, and then exhale, twist to the right. Bring your left elbow either to your right knee or to the inside of your left knee. And pause here with your curled spine. Keeping your knees in alignment. You could keep your palms together or spread your wings. Pushing your leg into your arm, arm into leg. One more breath. Exhale, bring your palms back together. Inhale, twist back to center. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Now step your left leg back. You could drop your knee or keep it lifted. Step forward a little bit for a crescent lunge or Alanasana. We're going to inhale, lift your body up. Arms up, lengthen. Exhale, hands to Anjali Mudra. Now again, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tuck your low ribs. Find that kidney loop. Inhale. Exhale, tip forward and twist. Keeping that tuck in the low ribs. You can again bring your elbow to the outside of your right knee. Or perhaps spread your wings. One more breath. As you exhale, palms together. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, hands come down to the ground. Inhale, left foot steps forward. Halfway lift. Exhale, and fold. One more time like that. Halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Push down to stand as you inhale, reach up, lengthen, and exhale. Now we're going to move to the other side. I'm going to switch my orientation. Feet together or hip distance. Inhale, exhale, chair. Inhale, exhale, tuck low ribs, curl your spine. Inhale here. Exhale, twist to the left. Right elbow to the inside of your right knee or outside of left knee. Keeping that tuck. Feel your breath. Check out your knees. Keep them in alignment. Palms can stay together or spread your wings. One more breath. Exhale, palms together. Inhale, center. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Next inhale, step your right foot back. Heel stays lifted, push down, squeeze in through your inner thighs as you inhale, lift. Exhale, find some ease in the structure. Inhale. Exhale, palms to touch. Push your palms together. Inhale. Tuck your low ribs. Inhale, tip. Exhale, twist. Keep pushing palms together, keeping that curve in your spine. Spread your wings if that felt good on the other side. One breath. Exhale, palms to touch. Inhale, center. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, right foot steps forward, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up, stand up, lift up. Right back down, exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, hands come down, step back, knees lifted or down. Chaturanga, lower with your exhale. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. On your next exhale, come down to your knees, down to your belly. Arms come out wide like a T, chin on the ground. Inhale, lift your right leg. Exhale, roll onto your left hip, left shoulder, reach your right foot towards the ground. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, settle on your belly, chin down. Other side, inhale, left leg lifts. As you exhale, then we roll, opening through your chest, your hip. Inhale, up. And exhale, down. So continue this movement, inhaling to lift, exhale to roll. And again, notice any moments where you vacate, you flop, you let go. Can you keep your attention, your breath moving in your body? A couple more each side. Last one. So whenever you feel balanced, you can settle back flat on your belly, bring your hands underneath your chin, pause for a couple breaths. From here, flip onto your back one final time. We're going to finish with a supine twist on either side. There's many variations, so if you know one that works really well for you, you can go for it. Otherwise, I'll invite you to lift your knees above your hips, shins parallel to the floor, arms out into a T or cactus. Inhale. Dropping to the right as you exhale, so that your left leg lands on top of your right. Once you land, inhale to lengthen your spine, like you're pulling your head out of your waist. And then exhale, roll your left ear, left shoulder, left arm towards the ground. And pause here for 6 breaths. Feeling the undulation of each breath, the expansion, the opening, the receiving, the surrendering, the letting go, the relaxing. It might feel good to wiggle your fingers, your toes, rock your head. As you soothe yourself here. When you feel ready, we'll switch to the other side. So your inhale to support you to come back to a neutral position. And then exhale, switch. Once your legs land down, inhale, lengthen your spine. And then exhale, reach, right shoulder, right ear, right arm. Feeling that gentle, conscious twist through the intelligence of your spine. Allowing your left hand to land on your belly or on your leg or floor. Feel sensation in your left hand. Feeling the rhythm of your breath or the texture of fabric. Allowing any other organic movement that wants to ripple through your body. And when you feel ready, transitioning into your final resting pose. Taking your time to bring in any comfort or support that would feel nourishing in this moment. So that you can settle into conscious stillness. As we honor the balance of yin and yang by being with each inhale and each exhale. And by honoring this time to rest with the same reverence as our movement. And as you settle, I'm going to read these words from the book Fragrance After Rain by Jaya John. Rest is sacred. It is vital. It is non-negotiable. No longer think of rest as a long departure from more important work. Think of it as an integrated, continuous return to your deepest work, being all the way alive. The Eternal Ones understand. The Eternal Ones understand us and whisper to us now, children, in every moment, no matter what you face, you can heal yourself with rest. Rest is a life skill. When you master it, you realize it is not a departure from your life. It is the soul of your life. A nurturing you do in the garden of each precious breath and moment. Freedom. Now begin to bring a little more attention to the movement of your breath up and down your spine. Visualize and feel that as your breath moves, it's expanding where your breath is moving and retracting back to neutral where your breath just was. Feeling into the intelligence, flexibility, and strength of these primal sphincters that are these O-rings throughout the entirety of your spine. And as you continue to feel and visualize your breath moving, allow that to inform generous, gentle, subtle movement rippling from your spine down through your extremities as you gently guide yourself back into wakefulness from the inside out. When it feels good for you, as you move and breathe, include the movement of your eyes as you look around your space, taking in detail. And once your whole body has been touched with mindful movement and conscious breath, roll onto the left or right side to pause. And then slowly bring yourself back into a seated posture. And once you're seated, again, invite in a bit of movement forward and back, side to side, figure eights, circles. To feel into that central line. Tuning into where you feel balanced, where there's a sense of structure, and where there's structure, a buoyancy, spaciousness, and ease. And guiding your hands to Anjali Mudra. So I thank you for joining me for this practice. From my heart to yours. Namaste.